Hi, Tommy Heffernan, veterinary consultant with Precision Microbes here in our series of Being Brilliant at Basics, the equine gut microbiome. In video 4, I'm going to talk about the gut microbiome and immunity. Now, there's an awful lot of talk about the gut and immunity across all species. Precision Microbes, go to our website, www.precisionmicrobes.com. The hashtag for this video series is just try it. Listen to what people are talking about. Now, if we talk about the gut and the immune system, like our other species, our horses, there's a lot we're still learning, but we know that a healthy gut microbiome is fundamental to a healthy immune system. And if we think about why, well, we have to understand the makeup of the digestive tract and the immune system and their interactions. So we talk about the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, or GALT. We talk about 70% or more of the immune system being gut-based. This is what we're talking about. These are all the white blood cells, the lymph tissue, and all the different cells in the digestive tract that are involved in immunity. And because the immune system is interconnected, particularly where we have chronic inflammation in the digestive tract, it can have a huge impact on systemic immunity. So why is there so much immune cells in the gut? Well, if we think about the surface area of the digestive tract and we think about digesta going in, and we think about, maybe as in the video 3 we talked about pathogens and beneficial microbes, you know, in our digesta we naturally have invading pathogens, and it's a huge surface area, so that's why so much of the immune system is concentrated in that area. It's hard to get a figure for that surface area, but some people talk about an adult average sized horse between 200 and 300 square meters, so we think about that surface area. Now, we have millions and millions of white blood cells in our equine digestive system, but even with all that white blood cells there, we still need the beneficial microbes and a thing called crosstalk. So the beneficial microbes in the gut microbiome are actually sensing pathogen invasion and signaling to the immune system in the gut. Because there's so many of them, there's trillions of them, they actually act as the first layer of I suppose, an alert system. When we look at the gut, we have our innate immune system, which is kind of our primitive immune system. We have some physical barriers, like I talked about in other videos, like the mucin layer that protects the gut, particularly in the hindgut. And then we have our adaptive immune system. This is our white blood cells, like our T and B cells, that are activated to react to immune responses. That's a learned immune system. So when we go into the digestive tract, we kind of have to look in a little bit of detail. If we go into the lumen and we go down at a cellular level, so we think about the small intestine and the large intestine, and we think about all these folds of digestive tract, that massive surface area that helps with absorption. But the other thing is, between the digesta and the lumen, where all these immune cells are, there's one layer of cells. And there's all these interactions between microbes and immune cells. We have a couple of very important immune cells we need to think about in the digestive system. We have cells that are very primitive. They're like dendritic cells that have these little feelers. They detect antigens, and again, they send signals back to our immune system. We've got our T cells, our killer cells, our macrophages, our B cells. And in the digestive lumen as well, we have areas like Peyer's patches that have M cells, which are actually involved in regulation and communication around the immune system and the digesta. We have areas like Peyer's patches and Paneth cells as well. So there's a lot of activity, immune activity in the gut. But what's really important to understand is actually that beneficial microorganisms in a healthy gut are constantly sending signals to the digestive tract around invading pathogens, around regulation of immune systems. So if we think about postbiotics and metabolites that are produced, one of the most interesting metabolites I've come across is butyrate, a metabolite produced by the fermentation of bacteria. Really important short-chain fatty acids in the regulation of inflammation. So when we look at immunity, we don't want an overreactive immune system or an underreactive immune system. So when we have a disruption in the gut, so a narrowing of diversity like we talked about in video 2, changing of pathogens, maybe digestive upsets through diet, well, it's going to have an impact, and it can be acute. Like our foals are a good example, or maybe severe colitis in our mares, our older horses, where you have an acute disruption, and that can be very serious for the immune system, because we often see, with maybe the example of foal diarrhea, we see systemic or septicemia issues because of its acute effect. What's interesting with the horses, I think, when you look at the studies on maybe domestication and challenges our modern horses have, and it's the same in humans, is mild and chronic inflammation. Let's get a marker that's working. So if we look at mild inflammation, I'm going to talk further about this in the section on leaky gut, but if we look at mild or chronic inflammation, what's that doing? Well, you get a proliferation of the immune cells in the digestive tract, the signaling system is often broken, You get a damage to the physical barrier, the mucin layer that protects cells, and that can have a big impact on the immune system locally in the gut. That's we talk about leaky gut. But when we have that leaky gut or dysbiosis, the changing of the healthy microbes in the gut, that can directly impact the immune system locally, but it can have systemic effects as well. In further sections, in further videos, we're going to talk about the gut-brain axis, the gut-skin axis, and why the digestive tract and a healthy gut microbiome plays so many roles in other organ systems. So we do know that the gut microbiome has a signaling system through crosstalk and the production of metabolites like butyrate and other short-chain fatty acids that regulate immune function. When we have acute disruption, it can be very harmful, but when we have wild chronic inflammation like low-grade leaky gut, it can also have a secondary impact on the immune system. Very interesting when you look at the papers and research papers on allergies and immune system and gut health as well. We have a white paper developed where we kind of cite all the research that I've gone through, research papers on all these topics that's available as well on request. Okay, so that's just really understanding that when we talk about the gut microbiome and immunity, we talk about the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, the big surface area, the need for microbes to be talking with the white blood cells in the lumen, that if we have disruptions in there, they can have a massive impact on immunity. So a healthy gut microbiome is key to immunity in the gut, but overall immunity as well. See you for video 5 on some of the symptoms we'll see with a disrupted or particularly an unhappy hindgut in our horses.
We started using precision microbes a few months ago on all our show jumpers. We found that it really helped with muscle development and also a shiny coat and improved the overall digestive tract health, which really helps us with their performance in the competition arena. I'm very happy with the results and couldn't recommend precision microbes enough.